Welcome to KQEG and Seven River Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and fitness. Well, do you remember these days? The Catbirds, the Bobcats. Guess what? You're in for a treat today because I'm going to introduce you to two key people, but they're part of the newest lacrosse pro basketball team called the Crosse Showtime. With me today, the owner, the founder, the coach, you name it, the guy behind this idea, Scott Pooler. Welcome to the show, along with a former D2 basketball star. He didn't know me, but I remember watching him. Of course, he wanted to forgive me because I'm a referee. From Winona State, Mark Blacklock. Welcome to the show, guys.
It's good to be here.
Thanks for having us, Terry.
I'm excited, thoroughly. A lot of my friends are too, because I'm into all kinds of sports, and grew up playing basketball and didn't have the skills, the size to play college basketball. Wanted to, decided to go into officiating. Went to a lot of games when the Catbirds and the Bobcats and so on. So this is an exciting thing for the entire lacrosse area, and we're going to unveil a lot of things. Before we do that, let's get to know Scott Pooler.
All right.
First of all, Scott Pooler. Now, obviously, you come from being involved in sports.
Absolutely. Been coaching probably for about 14, 15 years now. Mostly youth, AAU basketball. Have a couple boys who were pretty good in it, so that's kind of what got us into that. But I coached the baseball as well. So, and I've always loved it as a youth. I mean, baseball was my sport when I was younger. When I got in high school, middle school, high school, did a little more basketball, and loved that as well. Was pretty good at that. Ran the point, but obviously, kind of like you, my size kind of limit to where I was going to go with that. So just been busy with that for years. Been coaching up at Blair Taylor, their middle school girls basketball for a few years now, and coached the youth sports up there for several years. So been pretty active, trying to stay active in the community and getting involved with the things that are going on. So.
6 children.
6 children.
4 girls, 2 boys.
4 boys, 2 girls.
Oh,
you were
close. And of course, that has trickled down into their interest too.
Absolutely.
I remember, by the way, refereeing. I remember the boys.
Yeah.
Good players too.
Yeah. Very good.
So following in their dad's footsteps?
They're far exceeding their dad's footsteps.
But Mark Blacklock, now, I don't know if you know him because coming from Winona, played at Winona High School, remember him there, played at Winona State, was a captain 2 years, started 4 years, a standout, know his entire family, and I can see, knowing your family, the inspiration you had to get involved in basketball and in sports in general.
Oh yeah, well, it starts at the top with my grandfather Jim. He was always into basketball and sports, and kind of reeled us into his little cult of the orange ball. But then it comes from my parents. My dad, Fred, was a pretty good player in high school. My mother was actually an All-American at River Falls. So she had a lot of expectations for me, and I think she really helped me guide me through my career.
Well, All-American River Falls. I used to work a lot of games, by the way, back when she was a player, so she may remember. Maybe not remember me as an official when she played.
We'll see. Well, I'll ask her and see what she says, but hopefully all good things.
But you had a tremendous career, as I said. Took a team to the conference championship, and by the way, on the dean's list. So I mean, you were a consummate student athlete. You had some defining moments as a college player, and the fire still burns inside you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, once you get a taste of it, you kind of want to just keep going. It's been an interesting career. College is always an interesting spot for people in general, and especially when you're in sports, when you have so many responsibilities, and some you learn later on that are more important than others with education and stuff like that. But once basketball stopped and there was that kind of gap year afterwards, it was like you still had the itch for it, you still want to try it out, and you always have those dreams of playing at a higher level and playing with higher competition. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm at Showtime.
So that may lead to maybe a future dream or a current goal of yours, and that's to move on to a higher level and maybe jump into European League.
Yeah, I would think so. Somewhere overseas. Always want to kind of push yourself and see where it ends up, especially with some of your successes in life, and with mine being in sports and basketball specifically. I think it was always my goal to see how far I could push the button and see how far I can get to myself and see where it takes me. If it takes me halfway across the world, no, that's all the choice for me.
So you don't want to live in the proverbial temple of regret that you didn't try something because you have the gift, the skills to be able to achieve success.
Yeah, I think so. I think that kind of hit home right after my final season, and after the final buzzer sounded and you're like, well, now what? And then you think, I think I still have a lot left in me, and I think if I hunker down, have the mental attitude and discipline about it, that I can make a lot more happen. And I think with careers and all this things that are supposed to happen after you graduate, and you get that long career ahead of you, where mine, I graduated with education to become a teacher. I think that I still have a gap to where I can be something other than a teacher for the time being.
And Scott, you're a full-time educator. For those of you who don't know, an instructor at GET, and your goal always was to get into education too?
No, I'm in information technology over at GET. So I work, anything with the IT field, networking and all that. So yeah, I would have never dreamed of being in education when I was younger. Not that I'm against it or anything, just wasn't something I thought. But now that I'm in the school, I can't see myself being anywhere else. And I love working there and love being around the kids and being able to interact with them and just have fun. And it's a great environment. And GET is a wonderful school district. So.
Well, I know I know Troy real well, your principal, and Mark, and your AD, and so on. And it is the culture is real upbeat and so on. But this is something people might be surprised about, because your goal really was not education, because you have a theology background.
Correct. And
ministry was your calling.
Correct. Yeah, I did that for several years. Was a youth pastor in the church, and then and I love that. That's kind of where I got started working with a lot of the young kids, obviously with my own as well, having a house full of them. But then working with my kids and the other kids in the church and stuff like that, and it was just fun. I mean, I love working with the youth and being able to inspire them and just try and give them life goals and things like that. And then just went on from there and got my ministry license and pastored for a couple years, and I love it. And it's just I probably went maybe more than what I would have. I was probably more adapt to that youth ministry, and I did some prison ministry as well, and really enjoyed that. And but pastoring a church might have been a little much for me.
Well, I felt my career was a calling. Yours was a calling. Education is a calling. Athletics is a calling, because you're using the gifts that the Lord gave you, which is certainly a special gift. And not using those gifts is really a disappointment. And so, and then the calling took to education and took you that route, which is a similar career, of course, affecting the lives of others in a positive way. But you made a statement. You said at the end of your when the buzzer sounded to end your career, the first thing in your mind was, now what? Mm-hmm. Scott, I talked in the introduction about the Bobcats, the Catbirds, and so on. Was it an epiphany? Did you wake up one day and think, okay, now what? Meaning, can I achieve something else? Can I go to places that others don't really want to go? In other words, challenge yourself to think of and embark on this journey of a pro basketball team?
Oh, absolutely. It's just the opportunity presented itself, and just searching out some minor league systems in that for my son, Simeon. And we were just looking on the East Coast because he went out there for a little while. and I came across the ABA, and when I seen the opportunity, it was just like, I mean, how could you not take advantage of it to bring basketball back to the city of La Crosse? And so I talked to my business partner, Brian Gentleman, good friend, been with him. He's been coaching with me for all these years, and just asked him what he thought, if it something interested him as well. And he absolutely loved it as well, and jumped on it. So we wanted to do it, and you figure, get to a point in your life, you don't take a chance on yourself, then who are you going to take a chance on? So.
But a lot of people are probably thinking the success of the Bobcats, the success of the Catbirds, the success of the Loggers, thinking, maybe I should try something like that. But the majority of people that have that thought enter their mind it leaves their mind shortly afterwards.
Correct. It
didn't leave your mind because you thought there's potential here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anybody who's ever been here, if you lived here long enough, La Crosse is a sports town. It may not be the size of Chicago, but it's a sports city just like Chicago. And the fans here, they love their sports. And basketball, to me, everybody's going to have their own opinion, but to me, basketball's king around here. And guys like, Kobe King and, Matt Thomas and Bronson Keenan, they've shown that in what they've done and the way the people around here follow those guys' careers and things like that. And you brought it up, the Catbirds and Bobcats, I was lucky and fortunate enough to go see both teams, and absolutely loved it at the La Crosse Center. I mean, it's a great facility, great place to go watch basketball. There's not a bad seat in the house, there really isn't. And so in the environment that was there, it was exciting and great for this area. And in the winter, if you're not really a skier, there's not a lot to do. So we want to give the city something to do, and we want to be part of it. We want the players to be part of it and everything like that.
Well, I think in the last few years, you're exactly right about the basketball evolving into the key sport in this area with the names you mentioned, and even going across the river to the success of Winona State. You forgot to say that, with the likes of this guy next to me, Mark Blacklock, and the success of that team in Division II. So basketball is certainly at the pinnacle of interest in this area. We're going to step aside just for a minute. When we come back, we're going to learn more about Showtime basketball right after these messages.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Again, today the spotlight shines brightly on La Crosse Showtime, professional basketball team about to embark on the season beginning in November. Our guest, Scott Pooler, and the famous Mark Blacklock from Winona, across the river. When I think of the ABA, that league, ABA, here's what goes through my mind. Back in 1967, I was in high school. And Rick Barry played. Artis Gilmore played. Those names from the old ABA. And, of course, it's not the same, obviously, because it's combined with the NBA. But that's what the league is. Tell us about that league.
Well, it's one of the original, the guy who started back up, his name is Dick Tinkman. He's one of the original attorneys involved with the merger. He was an attorney for the Indiana Pacers. And obviously they were one of the teams that went into the NBA. But he got together with the guy who's the CEO of the league right now, Joe Newman. They met back in like '99, and we're just sitting and talking. And similar to the way I came across the league, they were just talking and like, it'd be nice to start that back up. So they obviously went to the NBA and asked for the permissions and the rights back to the ABA name. And the NBA agreed. Sold them back the rights to the name, and then and they explained to them what they were trying to do and stuff like that. And the NBA didn't really want any part of it at the time, so they went ahead and started the league anyway. And they started off, I believe, with like 6 teams, and in 2000, and now it's grown in just it's still going 17 years later, and it's just grown tremendously. It's probably the world's largest organized sports professional sports team league with over 100 teams in the league.
Wow, so you kind of, that was my next question. The number of teams, local teams, obviously Crosse Showtime. What are some of the other Midwestern teams?
Midwestern teams, and that's our division pretty much is Midwest, and we have several teams in Chicago area. There's Windy City Groove, Chicago Steam, Libertyville Vipers. Then we got up in Michigan, there's a few teams up there. We got the West Michigan Lake Hawks. They're one of the better teams there. Then we've got Kentucky Colonels. They are actually a break-off from one of the original ABA teams way back in the day. And then there's also some new teams coming in, the Akron team. There's Owensboro. They're not in our division, but closer. They're on our schedule. And there's some really good teams just in our division alone. I think if you take a look back last year in their ranking system in the top 25, there was probably about 8 or 9 teams just from our division in that top 25.
Had you heard of the ABA before you got this mysterious call from a guy by the name of Scott Pooler?
Oh, yes, I have.
Had you?
Yeah, where did the San Antonio Spurs come from? Come on.
You asking me a question?
I'm just telling you. Like I know a little bit about it. I'm not an expert by any means.
The difference between the ABA and the G League?
If you ask me, I don't think there's a lot of difference. I think talent-wise, I think there's probably just as much talent in the ABA as there in the D League.
Now, the G League people probably wouldn't agree with that, but
they certainly wouldn't.
Well, of course not. But from what I've seen, what I've heard on the street, and so on, I would tend to agree with you. But we have so many things to talk about. So just kind of rapid fire things. Roster. A lot of people say, who are we going to see? Who are we going to see?
Well, we got a different array. We have the big guy in the middle, Mike Southall. He's probably 6'11", 7 feet tall.
I remember him roughing games at West Salem. You guys can both answer the roster, by the way. So.
Oh, yeah. We got a nice array of guards with the Simeon. We got PJ Reese. We got Brandon Flowers, and all of them can shoot, all of them can dribble, so it's going to be nice to pass the ball around.
You talking about the Flowers family from
You mean Sims?
Madison or what?
Oh,
Brandon Sims.
Oh, it is.
He played with the Flowers.
And Flowers.
Yeah.
Very similar. Other players coach. By the way, the coach, the general manager, the owner, anything else?
Yeah, no, whatever you want.
Other players.
Promoter.
There you go.
Yeah.
TV star.
Yeah, we have those guys, and then we of course have a nice young man out of St. Charles, played at St. Mary's, and Will Swigum, heck of a good athlete. We got Stephen McAfee Jr. coming out of Chicago area, another great athlete, 6'8", long, lanky, can jump out of the gym. Those are just to name a few. I don't want to forget them all.
Well, it's okay, but so do the players get paid?
Yes, they do.
They get paid a small fee.
Small fee. They get paid per game.
Per game. And oh, by the way, I saw something on the website. Again, I encourage you to go to the website and look at all these incredible opportunities to get involved, such as a home court advantage program.
Absolutely. This is new to us, so it's in basketball in this area, the way we're doing it is kind of new to a lot of people, but the idea is not new because the Loggers have been doing it for years, and we kind of stealing a little of their playbook, looking around kind of how they do stuff and how we got it started. We're talking to a few of the families who've hosted Loggers players and the Cooley Region Chill players as well. So kind of stealing a little bit of their idea on how to do it, and just to make and give us the options, for years to come, to go and reach out to some of those players, East Coast, West Coast, down south, wherever we can. It allows us the opportunity to reach much further and have a place for those guys to stay when they do come.
Tryouts. Now, by the way, since Mark's on the show, does that mean he's definitely on the no-cut list?
He is the no-cut list.
He is the no. So he's going to So once we get there on November 4th.
Yep, November 4th.
November 4th, and we see the opening November 4th, you're on the
25th will be
road.
our home game.
November 25th, sorry, fans. You're at home because I have that, by the way, on my calendar. You start your season November 4th.
Yes.
But you'll definitely be on the roster.
Oh,
he may not play, but he'll be on the roster.
If he doesn't play, there's something wrong.
With the coach, by the way.
Yes, with the
who
coach.
happens to
I'd
be
say
you.
it's time to fire him.
So, officials, where are you getting the officials from?
The ABA assigns those. So he's still in the process of working on that. If there's any officials out there, feel free to reach out to Terry. Let him know you're interested. But Tom Chichester is the gentleman in charge of that, of the ABA. He organized all the officials. He'll probably be wanting to do a camp up here to get some officials in and get them signed up to start reffing the games around here.
Good.
They obviously like to have local officials as well.
Right.
Cuts travel time and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity.
They just might get old guys like me out, and I might work a couple of those games. Rules, though. I've worked FIBA and worked in Europe and so on, so I know some of these rules, but is there a distinct difference in some rules? Do you know, Mark? One thing, don't call fouls on the center.
Yeah, hopefully.
Back and down, though, that's an interesting rule.
Yeah.
Do you know more
You
about
might
that?
not know it. Yeah, the back down rule is they have a 3-second back down rule, and they kind of do that to take away the Shaq move, I guess. So you can't just feed it in the post and he just pounds his way down until he's at the rim. You basically, if they got their back to the basket and the ball comes in to the big guy, and once he puts the ball on the ground, he's got 3 seconds. Once you square up or pick the ball back up, the count stops and so that. But that's one of the unique rules to keep the game.
And six fouls before you foul out. And
yes, but you can stay in the game. That's one of the other unique rules.
That's right. Now, explain that, please.
Yeah, if the player picks up a 6th foul, they're allowed to stay in the game. The only difference is if they get any other foul after that, it adds an extra free throw to the free throw shooter. So,
scoring differences too? Any scoring differences?
One of the big differences is the 3D light. It's a pretty unique rule, and kind of exciting rule. Keeps the score going, the pace going. But if you get a turnover in the backcourt, the 3D light comes on, and when that light's on, then once you get possession, the defensive team turns offensive team. While the light's on, any basket they make adds an extra point to it.
That's right. That's right. So I've seen that rule too. I've seen a lot of different rules when I've been in Europe. But ticket prices, we only have a couple minutes left. But ticket prices, picking your seats. Am I going to get a good seat, by the way?
Absolutely. Especially if you want to buy season tickets. We got our season tickets on right now, which we have to take care of that. So you can go to the website, lacrosseshowtime.com, or you can call the phone number on the website as well and order the tickets. What we're doing, the season tickets will be running up through October 31st, and then as of November 1st, it'll just be individual game tickets, which they can buy at the Lacrosse Center box office or at Ticketmaster.com.
And what are we going to see as we close the show here a little bit? What are we going to see? Oh, man, November 25th, we kind of talked about, versus the Chicago Steam. What are we going to see on that first night, Mark?
Well, you're going to see a lot of work being put together on a court. I think you're going to see a lot of athletes, because we got a lot of high flyers, like Coach said. We got a nice little mix between people that can pass the ball around a lot and people that can get up in the air. So I think it's going to be a fun event. I think it's going to be a hard game, but I think you're going to see a lot. You're going to be entertained.
So we're going to see all of your fans and family from Winona and all over the place at that first game?
Well, I hope so, if they can make the track all 30 minutes.
And we're going to see the Blair Taylor people and the GET people there. And it's going to be, there are a lot of people who are going to go, what is this all about? It's going to be curiosity will be a big word on that opening night.
Absolutely.
And I see you also have the showstoppers.
Yes.
And for your halftime, timeouts and so on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They'll be out there the whole game, lined up somewhere, up in the stands, wherever they go. And then they'll obviously be in between quarter breaks and out on halftime, putting on a nice show for the fans. So
well, good.
We're excited.
I'm excited, and I'm appreciative. Like, I hope everyone watching this week on the show is appreciative for what you're doing in bringing back pro basketball to the La Crosse area. So we wish you the best of luck as a coach, as an owner, as a promoter, putting all of your resources and time into this. I hope everybody appreciates that. And we're anxious to see guys of your caliber play, too. So our guests today, Scott Pooler and Mark Blacklock. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be back with some film clips on a couple key games in high school football right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team.
Who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. I hope you enjoyed the interview as we preview Showtime Basketball, a pro team set to start their season here in La Crosse at the La Crosse Center in early November. Well, 2 games this week. Let's start at Swanson Field for a classic intra-city matchup. The Central Red Raiders and the Logan Rangers. A lot at stake as the Arc has been resting at Logan High School for 10 of the last 11 years. Let's start in quarter number 1 as speedster C.J. Siegel would get loose for an 8-yard TD courtesy of quarterback Matt Escher's pass, and Logan leads 6-0 after 1. Logan scores twice in the second quarter. Siegel again on a 39-yard pass from Escher, followed by an Ambrose Metz-Beard 2-yard run. Central answers with a Stephen Crosse, a 4-yard run, and an A.C. Riley 2-point conversion, 18-8 Logan at half. Central's defense comes alive in the second half, shutting out the Logan Rangers and scoring 16 points. A Zach Luth TD pass, followed by a dramatic fourth quarter 37-yard pass, Johnny Davis to Greg Kohler, who got loose up the sidelines to seal the victory. Christian Kapanke had 19 carries for 137 yards for the Rangers, and the Rangers struggled with 8 penalties for 71 yards in the second half. Final from Swanson Field, Central 24, Logan 18. Logan and West Salem collide on Friday at Swanson Field. We'll be there to bring you all the action, while Central hosts Sparta at UWL. Another MVC matchup on Friday at Roger Herring Field, the red-hot West Salem Panthers and the Aquinas Blue Gulls. West Salem came out of the gate strong with 10 points in the first quarter. A Ryan Byrne 35-yard field goal and a Malachi Athenos interception return. 14 more points in the second stanza. Brendan Holt from 34 yards out and an Athenos TD from quarterback Ryan Byrne, good for 31 yards. 28 points in the second half with a running clock. Brendan Holt, Joseph Wopat, Dalton Shams, and Therick Roberts all scoring Panther TDs. The Blue Gulls' Nick Cambio carried for 51 yards. Lots of injuries for the Blue Gulls as they fall to 0-4 in the MVC. The Panthers are on top of the MVC with a 4-0 record. Final score, 52-0 West Salem. Well, that's it for this week on Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an active and a healthy week.